Hi guys, it's Luton here, and back for No Philosopher. So this is a series I started quite a long time back, and only my probably older subscribers will actually remember it. Didn't really intend it to actually turn into a series. It was meant to be like a one-off, and then it kind of, people really liked it, so it's just me talking a little bit deep about some things, I guess. So Flamefang, who I play with the other day, I was asking for questions for Q&A series, and I keep meaning to do Q&A series, and I've had loads of people keep saying why don't I do it. I just kind of keep meaning to and then don't. So if you have any questions for me that you want me to answer in a Q&A series, put it below, because I will be doing it very soon in the next week or so. Got a few questions already. And Flamefang said to me, why do we still see so much negativity towards gamers? Now, I'm going to kind of answer that, but it sort of made me just think about something else, really. And the thing that it made me think about was kind of, why do I interact with people in gaming, and through my YouTube channel, and through Twitter, and social media in general? People that I don't know, people just in the world. Why do I set up servers? Why do I get people on board? Why do I interact? Why do we do all this stuff? And it gets me thinking on to, you know, my history in gaming, all the people that I played with, the people that I probably will never speak to again, but have played with for an extended period of time. And it also brings me back to things that I've talked about before, stuff like, you know, it's just a game. It's never just a game. It winds me up when I see people say that, and then they sort of, it's a very kind of off the cuff, can't think of anything else to say comment to make. It's just a game. It's absolutely not just a game. Everything is so much more than that. It's this patchwork of emotions, frustration, joy, excitement, you know, trust in other people, working together as a team, cooperation, communication, learning. There's just everything that's in it. There's so much to it. And not just that, but if you are brand new to games right now, or if you haven't been playing that long, if you've only been gaming for a few years. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably older gamers like myself, and you've been gaming for years and years. I've been gaming for probably, like, I'd say 15, it's going to start to push 20 years pretty soon. 20 years! Can you believe that? It's kind of scary, actually. Anyway, the point is at the point that I'm at now, gaming for me is this, just this encompassing thing. And I look back and I think, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. Now, some people are going to say, well, that was just gaming. But it's not game. It's real. Like, everything that you did is real. Whether or not the game is real, it's just, you know, the game is a manifestation. And then your interaction with it and the people that you're working with and doing things with, that's all real. And then the memories, the thoughts that you have about those things afterwards, they just stay with you for a long time. And it's so great, you know, you think back and you think, oh my god, do you remember when we did this? And especially World of Warcraft for me, I mean, I mention it always. I mention it always because it for me is one of the best games I ever played. And it was funny, I actually watched a small bit of a live stream tonight, and there was some World of Warcraft, and they were playing. And then I thought, oh my, and then suddenly all these memories started coming back, you know, just things that we used to say, things that we used to do, places we went, battles we had, things that we conquered, and it was all just so amazing. The other thing that sort of got me onto thinking a little bit about this was the Diffuse tournament that I did, well, the Diffuse night that I did this week on Battlefield 4 on my server that we've got running right now. And that in itself, again, just look at that right now, jet coming over. That again reminded me so much of what it is all about. I set up that event in 20 minutes. I literally just bashed that little video together. I told people to come get on. I set the server up how we needed it to be. I had done this event in the past, but I decided to just run it out, you know. Server filled up. I was streaming and live coming the whole thing, and that whole night was brilliant. You know, just so much interaction, so much fantastic gameplay, loads of communication between everybody, me, you know, flying around and looking at what everybody was doing, getting involved, and then I had all the interaction with it back on social media and so on and so on, and back on the YouTube videos, and to me this is what it's all about. Gaming originally for me was just about playing with friends, you know, because I started back in the time when we didn't really have internet gaming. It was all about just staying in your bedroom and between you guys, and you play the games, and it was really old school. But we would still have these moments You know, we'd have these moments which were still like cheering, epic moments. You know, we'd be playing like GoldenEye or something, and you'd have this amazing moment where you kind of come around a corner, pick him, you know, ridiculous shot, and everyone's like, oh my god, he got it. You know, it's just really fantastic stuff. And then that has just continued for everything. But you know, you don't get these moments very often, but when you do get these moments, they are just so special. I'm thinking like first server kills on World of Warcraft. 40 people screaming down through TeamSpeak, just going crazy. You know, you've been trying to do it for like 2-3 weeks, and then finally you get it, and everyone's just mad. Just the best. Nothing compared to that for me so far. Nothing has ever compared to that for me so far. In Battlefield, you know, you still get that. You get that when you have 1,000, you know, this has happened, you know, you get that 1,000 ticket round and it comes down to 1 ticket. And everyone's like, it gets to the end and then it finishes and you don't know who's won. And then it ticks over and you know, you find out you've won and everyone's like, yes! It's just, there's nothing else like it. And all of those moments stay with you and build up to create this kind of patchwork. So for me, you know, that it's like a gaming history, you put it all together. But then when you start to share that with other people, that is what is so enjoyable. And you know, part of that is why I do YouTube. I just love gaming. And that's, you know, people always say, why did you start doing YouTube? I didn't do YouTube to be a YouTuber. I didn't do YouTube to become like super famous. I didn't do YouTube to be like a millionaire. I didn't do any of these things for it. I started doing YouTube because I just really liked gaming. The whole purpose of why I did it originally was for the clan. I was just trying to demo some things and I wanted to visually illustrate to the guys in the clan some of my sort of thoughts and tactics about, you know, the way we should be moving and stuff like that. That's the only reason. And then it started to become something a little bit more, and so on, and it grew, and now I kind of love doing it in itself. It's become something totally different for me. And that again is kind of like, it'll transition and be part of my kind of gaming history. I look back and I think, yeah, you know, we went from here to here to here. But then also, now that we have so much more social media than we used to in the past, and there's so much more interaction, you know, when I started getting into internet gaming online, we just would kind of have forums and things, and obviously you'd have like RSC and all these other bits and pieces, but you know, it was not like it is now. And it's just grown and grown, and so you can reach out to and interact and talk to people anywhere. And so again, that has been kind of, it's come back to me with the channel. Now for me, I still don't understand really why other YouTube producers don't interact as much with their audience. I know for the most part that there is some frustration there, like, you know, you get a lot of irritating people and so on, so that, and especially for much larger channels, you know, it must be almost kind of you can't filter through it. It just takes too much time. I think some other people just literally have no interest in it. And to be honest, that's a legitimate stance, you know, because everyone's different. Some people are not into it for that reason. Everyone does things for different reasons. Some people are, you know, they're not into it for that. But for me, it really does. It presents this opportunity to speak to people that you would never speak to get feedback, to share ideas, to share experiences, all of this stuff. And that's why I love interacting. I love doing it with Twitter. I love doing it with my YouTube channel. I like hosting events and getting people involved. It's just, it kind of comes together and is just all part of it. Again, when I think back to clans that I've been in, guilds that I've been in, there's all people there along the way which you've kind of met, done things with, worked through. And again, the other thing is that's great about it is, great in a way, it's not all positive, you know, and it would be ridiculous if it was all positive. You have like the bad times, you have times where things are screwed up, where people will get in your face or whatever. But then again, you kind of deal with these things, you move past it, you kind of build up resistance to it, you kind of learn from it. All of these things come together. And again, that's kind of part and parcel. It makes you change, it makes you differently as a person, and that happens obviously in real life as well as, you know, online and so on. I mean, where I am right now with YouTube is totally different to where I am when I started. You know, I always and still am kind of a fairly sensitive person, but YouTube has definitely like toughened you. It just does. You know, it absolutely toughens you, because when you're in that environment, you can't help but be toughened. It used to bug me so much. I mean, it's hilarious. Like, it used to bug me so much when I would get like 1 dislike on my video, and I'd think, oh god, no, it's terrible, you know, it's so bad, why? And now, you literally don't care. 20, 30, 40, sometimes it happens. Just don't care. for one thing, you know, with specifically to the dislikes, I mean, for one thing, they just qualify as interaction, so it actually doesn't really matter. It doesn't have any positive or negative benefit. It all qualifies as interaction. So to be honest, it's kind of, it always makes me kind of laugh inside, because if someone is giving you a dislike, they're actually helping you. Whereas if they actually wanted to negatively influence your video, the best thing that they could probably do is just do nothing. So I always find that kind of like a little bit funny. But when it comes to, yeah, some of the feedback and some of the things, everybody gets different kind of feedback, you know. I've had times where I've had some really horrific feedback. I've had real issues with other people. But again, you just put it to one side and it's fine, you know, it's fine. And you get used to it after a while, and things become less and less of an issue. You just are not bothered by it so much. But again, that all kind of comes together to sort of the other people, but it doesn't put you off interacting. And I know for a fact that, you know, again, some people I've seen and spoken to, and especially this week as well, with some of the things that are going on social media this week, it's kind of hilarious, because some people, as soon as they have any kind of, you know, possibly, you know, a different stance to that other person, they'll just block, deny, push them to one side, which is crazy, you know. We should all be trying to give our own opinion forward and listen and discuss, and that's the whole point of what it's for being out there. And so bringing it back round to what I was talking about originally with this issue and what Flame was asking about, how can we turn away from this sort of negative trend? And actually the last couple of weeks have been really bad for gamers in terms of negativity, because obviously there's been all the kind of stuff from Anita Sarkeesian going around again, and I'm not getting into that specifically, but you know, essentially it's creating a lot of negativity towards gamers in general. And I have read amongst many articles loads of kind of very negative feedback twisted and pushed towards gamers in general, and they're being labelled as a group rather than as specifically negative individuals. So it puts, you know, it's tarring everybody with the same brush, and it creates this kind of feeling of negativity, and kind of, you know, it just puts everyone together in the same bracket, which is really, really, really bad. But as I say, how can you turn things differently? Well, for one thing, you could start looking at other stories that are around, and people could promote them and look at these things in a different way. One of them I saw this week on Polygon, and the journalist there, she was writing about her time with her family. I'll find the article and I'll link it below, and I recommend that you give it a read, because it's a really excellent piece. And what she was talking about was her family when she was younger, and she was talking about the game Kingdom Hearts. And she was saying about how, you know, her and her brother had always had trouble getting along, and things weren't that easy with their family and so on. And her mum had gone out to buy them a game because, you know, she was always nagging about not having enough games. So her mum went and got her this game. And the game was Kingdom Hearts, and loads of you probably know the game. And her mum got it because it was the most kind of safe-looking Disney game, right, you know? But it allowed her and her family to kind of come together and bond around that game. Now, that's something that I think everybody can probably find a time when they've had something like that. Okay, for me, for example, when I was trying to explain, I was showing my parents about the YouTube and stuff. This was a while back now, but it was really late at night, and me and my mum had been staying up and watching TV, watching films, things like this. You know, we're just having I'd gone back out of London, and we were just having a nice, relaxing time. You know, so we were watching stuff, and then I was just browsing some stuff on the tablet, and she was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, it's this, you know, it's this game," and it was Journey, right? And I've done a whole Journey playthrough, you know, it's well over an hour or whatever. I started explaining to her about Journey, the game, and talking it through and through. By the end of it, we'd watched the whole thing. And we just had this lovely bonding time where she was kind of looking at what it was, and I was explaining everything, and she got so into it. And by the end of it, my mum was kind of like a little bit emotional about the game, and she was like, "Wow, it's so amazing, isn't it?" And I was explaining about the whole kind of way that Journey works in terms of sharing with other people. So I think really what it comes down to is that I think what we need to see is more of this kind of emotive sharing and understanding, and talking about experiences, talking about the way that you interact and work with other people. There's so much positivity there. You know, I have made friends all around the world, which I never could have done had I not been into gaming. And I think a lot of people probably just don't see this side of gaming, or if they are explained to it, it's not explained well. That's my thoughts today, guys. So, you know, as always, let me know what your thoughts are below. More stuff coming up very soon from me. Stay with it. More Battlefield 4.